Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. Going to try to make this as quick as I can. Happy Sunday, by the way, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Last time we spoke, Bitcoin was operating. Actually, let me go ahead and check, so I want to be sure I'm right. Yeah, last time we spoke, Bitcoin was operating right underneath this 11,500, or excuse me, right above. I'd just broken above the $11,500 zone. I don't know what that was. $11,500 zone, guys. I told you we were watching this descending resistance line here. We got a rejection once again validating that descending resistance line, guys. And if you have been playing this descending resistance line, man, oh man, has this been profitable. Just like clockwork, man. Hitting this, coming back down, hitting now. We now have a confirmed, looking at the downside, guys, an ascending support line. Did start as soon as price broke right here, tested this once, tested this twice, then came back up, came back down, test. 1, 2, 3. On the 4-hour chart, we've tested about 8 separate times here, both the up and the bottom of this trend, these trend lines here. No question about it. We are going to squeeze tighter and tighter within a range here. And typically, anytime it happens, basic trading 101, anytime you see a range like this, what do you expect to happen? You expect to see a breakout, and guarantee all eyes are looking for a breakout here. Now, typically, when you have such a very, very obvious consolidation pattern like this, guys, you want to be very, very careful of a possible bull and or bear trap, or I should say and bear trap, not or. Again, not and, I should say or bear trap, one or the other, if I can speak proper English here. So what we're going to be watching is, guys, I want to make sure that we're watching these two major areas of support and resistance. Resistance going to be right up here at top, the one that we've been watching for for a very, very long time, right around that $12,000 zone. If we do end up breaking to the upside, I'm going to watch for a possible bull trap. In other words, trapping people into long positions and then market makers reversing course. I do believe that happens somewhere around $12,000 if that's going to be the case. As I've told you before, nothing's really changed on targets. If we get a decisive break above $12,000, I do believe that's going to be a good signal. If you're looking to front run, that's going to be a good signal to try and go long. Of course, have a tight stop loss, but try and go long, targeting about at least 13,000, if not our prior highs up here between 13.5, 13.8. Now, technically, you're going to want to break. You're going to want to wait for a break above 12,400. Again, as we've talked about ad nauseum, that's going to be the technical breakup. And again, guys, that's if you're very conservative, that's what you're going to want to wait for a decisive break above. That being said, again, I know a lot of you are front running. I know, I again do it all the time myself. If the conditions are favorable, and I do think, just based on what I'm seeing now, as this actually happens, if we break out on very, very little volume, something like that, then I'm going to be a little bit skeptical. But if we get a 4-hour open and close above 12,000 on good volume, I'll feel pretty comfortable front running that. To the downside, what are we going to be watching? Just like we've been discussing for the last, well, I don't know how long now, for quite a few times, definitely the last quite a few videos now, this area at $10,650. If we do end up breaking down, watch out for the bear trap, and I do believe we'd look for a reversal around that $10,650 range. If we do break below that decisively, then I'd be very, very comfortable shorting it down to about 10,000, really our $9,950 zone. That's where I'm going to start looking for my first target, and of course that could very, very easily break down very quickly. And of course, we've been eyeballing that $9,400 zone for quite some time. And just as a very quick reminder, obviously, guys, we have these as visual supports, both of these, both that $10,650 range, a visual support, and of course a visual resistance at that prior high at $12,400. But in case you need something to back that up as well, we go swing high, swing low, looking at our fib levels. Of course, we can see that $12,400 zone lies perfectly inside that golden pocket, the golden pocket right between the 618, which is our golden ratio, and the 6.5 fib level. That is known as the golden pocket between the 618 and the 6.5 fib levels, guys, also known as the golden pocket. That's why we can expect a ton of resistance right there if we do get above it. But again, I do think if we break above that 12,000, I do think that's going to be your signal that we are going to come back up and very, very likely break that zone. Now, to the downside, where are we getting this $10,600 range? Obviously, it's a visual support as well. But if we go down here and we go, it's backed up by our fib level, we go swing low, swing high, looking at our fib, we can see that right there, sitting right there at the 50, which we've kind of danced on a couple times now, we can see the 50 sits literally almost perfectly over that $10,650 zone, guys. So we can see that we've backed up both our support and resistance by decent fib levels. Typically, that is why, typically when you see a visual support backed up by a fib level, guys, it's an extremely important zone to keep an eye on. Now, obviously, as we talked about, we do have this series of lower highs, higher lows, creating a wedge here, looking for a breakout. Breakout could happen. In my opinion, it looks like it's going to happen sometime today. We also have that backed up by volume. Again, as I pointed out numerous times, we can see that volume is slowly starting to slope down here. Again, that does indicate, I don't know where that, there we go. That does indicate a breakout is very, very likely to come. And if we come over here and we look at coin market cap, we refresh daily volume sitting at 18.2 billion. We come back and look at our historical data, so we can see that it's slowly been dropping off. We had 31, 30, 25, 23, 21, and now we're sitting at 18.2 billion. So from that 31 billion high, we've literally almost cut volume in half in a matter of 5 days. So again, this does suggest a larger move is likely to come here. Let's go ahead and check our moving averages, exponential moving averages. Looking at the 4-hour chart, guys, we can see that all major moving averages and exponential moving averages are all starting to converge here, with, of course, the 200 simple down here. Of course, that's not on the 4-hour here, but the 50 simple as well as the 8, 21, and 55-day EMA literally sitting on top of each other, as well as the Bollinger Bands all starting to constrict. All of this is indicative of a larger move to come. We come out here and we look at the daily chart. Daily chart still sitting on top of that 21-day EMA. We have now broken above the 8-day EMA there. That is a bullish sign, guys, and I do have to say that, as I said last time, my bias is starting to lean bullish here. Now, again, that's not technical analysis. I mean, a little bit based on technical analysis, but I want to be very, very clear. The chart is very, very neutral. The chart is very, very agnostic, which I can make a strong case for a breakdown. I mean, of course, I can pull up that CME gap that we've talked about ad nauseum, sitting down there at about $8,500. And of course, I can talk about all day long how we've maintained above the 21-day moving average, which is an extremely, extremely bullish sign. If you guys have known my channel, you know how much weight I put on that 21-day moving average, guys. And we have yet to have a decisive break below it. We had a wick, but not even, we didn't even have a close below it, which I could even accept a close. We didn't even have a close below it. And by a decisive break, we need to see a daily open and close. And again, we didn't even have a daily close below it. So that is a bullish sign telling you that the bulls are fighting hard here. Again, we're sitting literally right on top of the 8-day EMA for the most part. We come out here and we look at the weekly. We are still sitting at the top of the upper Bollinger Bands here. We have not even tested the 8-week EMA since June, the week of June the 10th. We've been above the 8-week EMA. So again, that is an extremely, extremely bullish sign, as well as the fact if we can close this weekly candle anywhere above about 10,800, that is going to be a sign that we may be continuing up to the upside, especially after such a bearish weekly close that we had last week. So let's wait and see kind of how this plays out. It does look like a larger move is to come, so I don't want to get too bullish yet. I want to be very, very cautious, and I want to be very clear in what I'm saying. I'm not saying this thing is heading up. I'm saying that it looks like it's going to move in the next, very likely in the next 24 hours, very likely before this weekly candle closes, and I want you to be prepared for a move in either direction, either up or down, because either one could indicate much more continuation either to the up or to the downside here. Checking longs and shorts, again, shorts are flat. Checking longs are flat. Also indicative of a larger move getting ready to come, and also indicative showing you that traders are just waiting to see until they get confirmation of a bull or a bear trend here. Looking at the 4-hour RSI, 4-hour RSI also getting squeezed tighter and tighter within a tighter range, also suggesting that we may see a larger move to come. Oh, and I know that I had a couple people asking me, are we looking at an inverted head and shoulders here? I don't think so. I mean, I'm assuming that you're going to be looking at something like this. This is, I'm assuming this is what you're looking. Whoop, sorry, stand by, guys. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so I'm assuming that you're looking at this. I'm assuming you're looking at this being the left shoulder, this being our head, and then something like this being the right shoulder, kind of a declining, sloping neckline there. Is that what you're looking for? If that is the case, obviously we didn't break out here, and then of course we'd be creating some kind of a deformed second right shoulder here. So no, I don't think this is an inverted head and shoulders. That being said, could it break out to the upside? Yes, it could absolutely break out to the upside. But do I think that's an inverted head and shoulders? No. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap Bitcoin there. Let's quickly get to your questions, and then I can let you guys get on with your Sunday, and I'm going to do the same here. Cal Ron says, you do awesome work, by the way. I very much look forward to your videos whenever they're released. You're a huge asset to the community. Hey, thanks, Cal Ron. I appreciate that, man. Good to have you here. Toby K says, love your analysis. Really easy to understand, not cluttered with indicators. Your TA style suits my personality and really helps me formulate a plan. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. That means a lot. 880 says, thanks, Workin, for answering my fib extension tool question. I didn't phase the question very well. but I was actually referring to the fib levels you have set in your tool. They're different from the standard settings in TradingView. You have a 0.65 level just above the 618 level, for example. I've seen some traders with negative 618 level set as well. Do you find these additional levels more useful? Yes, let me go ahead and explain why my fib extension. So, are you referring to my fib extension? Well, you're referring to either one, the fib extension or the regular fib. They both have the same fib levels on here. So let's just go ahead and look at this. Let's say if I'm going to look at the swing low to the swing high of our local little microstructure here. Let me go ahead and zoom it up here so you guys can see it a little bit better. And by the way, we are dancing right on top of that 50, and that 50 sitting right very, very close to that 10,000. Really, it's about $10,800, but still sitting very, very close there. So anyway, just kind of a sidebar there. If we do end up breaking down, may find some support right there, may indicate a possible bear trap until we do end up breaking that 50, but that's neither here nor there. Let's discuss the fib level. So yes, on my fib, guys, of course, we have the standard, you've got starting off with your 0, and then of course you have the standard 236, 382, 50, which the 50 isn't even technically a Fibonacci level, by the way, but it is very relevant zone. But technically, we're not looking at a Fibonacci level. Fibonacci level would be basically the square root of each one of these. So, excuse me, if I took the square root of the 618, the 618 of our 618 fib level, that would be the 786. So that's kind of how you derive these Fibonacci levels. But again, that's neither here nor there. You're asking me where I get these. So yes, the standard ones you have are the 236, the 382, the 50, the 618, and the 786. Those are your standard fib levels, right? And then of course we have the 1-to-1 sitting down here. So what the extra ones I have, I've got two extras. I've got the 6.5 painted on here, and I've got the 8865 painted on here. Why the 8865 and why the 6.5? Let's start with the 6.5. So first you've got the 618 fib level, which is also known as the golden ratio, probably the most important fib level on here. And I'm sure everybody's heard of the golden ratio, but that is just a very, very likely area for price to hit, especially when you're looking at certain circumstances, which I'm not going to go into right now. But anytime you get a nice bounce off that zone, guys, or anytime you're looking at that area, you can expect it to act as a support or resistance, depending on if we're drawing from our swing low to swing high or swing high to swing low. But you can typically expect that to be a major area when price does pass that point, at least for the first time. Which again, you guys know. Why I have that 6.5 there is that's between the area between the 618 Fibonacci level and the 6.5. That's known as the golden pocket, and you guys can Google that. You can look that up in trading. It's known as the golden pocket. What that means is we actually have our fib levels, or price comes down and hits this 618, this golden ratio, so many times, but sometimes it comes down and it kind of wicks right through it, or it'll hit this level in so much momentum, it'll just kind of slightly penetrate the 618, and then it'll do a nice little springboard right off there. Or if you're looking at a downtrend, on the retrace going up, it'll hit that 618 and then immediately bounce down. But oftentimes you don't see it hit perfectly at the 618. You oftentimes see it just barely penetrate it, either by a wick on the higher time frames or on the lower time frames. Sometimes you'll actually see a close inside there, but oftentimes you see it hit this zone and then pivot right up believe it. So if we were watching for a breakdown here, we'd hit that 618 fib level. It usually doesn't bounce right at the 618. It usually comes just a little bit lower, and then it kind of springboards right up from there. That's called the golden pocket, because it is so indicative. It is so, whoop, I didn't mean to do that. Stand by. Okay, that's called the golden pocket because price does kind of barely penetrate that so many times, and usually the deepest it'll go unless it's going to completely break, is down there to the 65. That 65 fib level. So that's why they coined, and when I say they, I'd have to go back and remember who exactly. You guys can Google it. But yes, somewhere between the 618 and the 65, that's where you're looking for a landing zone, and that has been coined the golden pocket. So anyway, that's why I've got that marked out on there, right below that, just so I know right where that golden pocket is. And typically, if the golden pocket gets penetrated, oftentimes you'll see a lot of continuation to the downside, usually down here to the 786, or potentially even lower. So that's kind of why I've got that marked out on my chart. Now the next unusual fib level I have is the 8865, and of course that's just the fib level that's between our 1-to-1 ratio here and the 786. Oftentimes, if you're going to get a deep retracement, and you'll find on a deep retracement that the 8865, if you're looking at a very, very deep retracement, that's kind of the last stand before things just completely collapse. Before there's basically no hope, unless you're looking at maybe a double bottom there. But that's kind of that's that next major fib level between the 786 and the 1-to-1 that price sometimes does come deep down in, or sometimes does bounce off of, and that is an actual fib. If you took the square root of the 786, you would get the 8865, and that's how I derive it on there. Now, if you're wondering how to get it on your tool, basically you just come up here, you right-click on the Fibonacci, and you come down here, you hit settings, and then you can just kind of you can actually literally type in here whatever you want. You check the boxes for what you want. You can see I've got the 8865 here and the 65 here, both checked off, and that's how they appear on my fib level, and that's also true on my fib extension if I were to get that out there. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Jack says, thanks for your time, work, and always enjoy your content. Hey, thank you, man. Tony May says, thanks for all the great content. What's your general principle for setting take profit stop losses on BTC if it breaks to the upside, tight stop 1 to 3%, or let it ride? It really depends on the trend, if I'm going with the trend or if I'm going counter trend, if I'm playing a correction or if I'm playing a continuation. And typically if I'm going to, if I, as you said here, setting a trailing take profit or stop loss, if I'm going with the trend, then oftentimes I do get a little bit more, a little looser. I'll even sometimes set it around 4%. If I'm going counter trend, I have it very, very tight, anywhere between 1 and 1.5%. So hopefully that helps. Tally says, thanks for the great work you're doing. I wonder if I could kindly say what you would do right now if you were stuck in a short entry position at 11:30. So yeah, I think I answered your question there. Hopefully you didn't get stopped out, or hopefully you did take some profit once it did come back down and bounce a little bit. Where did we bounce? Right there around that 11:30-ish. Hopefully you took some profit there. Hopefully you didn't get stopped out. If you did, don't worry about it. Sometimes that does happen, and playing it safe is oftentimes the best thing to do. But oftentimes, especially if you're seeing an ascending support line like this, when you're coming down here and you're seeing it hit that support, if you don't want to close your position, at the very, very least, what you should do is take maybe 50% profit off the board, or close about 50% of your position, and then of course increase your stop loss for the rest. All right, let's see. Harm says inverse head and shoulders. We discussed that. Kevin Roberts says, any feeling about that possible head and shoulders pattern on the 4-hour? We talked about that. Yeah, I didn't really see a head and shoulders pattern. You were talking about the inverse, and we talked about that, so fair enough. All right, Scott Lee says, thanks for your consistent updates working. So I've got a few questions. When I try to watch your videos on Brave browser, as soon as it comes up it'll say your browser does not currently recognize any of your video formats. And I don't know what that's about. I honestly don't. I'm sorry to hear that. I truly don't know why that is. I'm not sure. I upload the same format every time. I don't have a problem watching it in Brave browser. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how to. Maybe somebody else can chime in here if you're more tech savvy than I am. Let's see. I know you're big on privacy, but I love to hear a day in the life, trading career, etc., etc. Yeah, maybe I'll do that one of these days. I'm not going to get into it now. I'm a little bit pressed for time, but I have talked a little bit about how I learned that type of thing. And as far as do I do one-on-one tutoring, I don't. Not doing any of that right now. If I ever do, of course, I'd let you guys know. And by the way, that reminds me, there is somebody out there that is mimicking my videos and actually selling them. They're basically is saying that they're me and selling private videos, which are basically just repeats of the videos that I have now. And then I guess they're selling them for money from what I understand. So if you ever hear anybody selling you one of my videos, trust me, it's not me, and don't buy it. Typically, you're going to find that video right up here. And of course, as you guys know, it's completely free of charge. Only thing that supports this channel is tips. You guys are always generous with your tips. I always appreciate it. And that does remind me, guys, I know most of you, usually when you tip, you like to stay private. But if you ever do want to let me know who you are, I'm happy to thank you personally. I'd love to thank you personally. And you can always find the tip jar underneath the comment section of this video. Annalita says, hey, good to hear from you, Annalita. It's always good to hear from you. Work and take it as a compliment that they copy your work. It means that I'm right about following you. Thank you. Elijah says, thanks for your dedicated work, updating us every few hours. You're welcome, man. My pleasure. Wayne says, if you don't know what link is, how do they already have lines drawn on the chart? Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I've actually, I've analyzed linked, not just on yesterday's video, but on a couple, just because you guys have asked me about it. And yeah, I'm just, what I mean is I'm not, from when I said I wasn't familiar with Link, obviously I'm familiar with it. I've analyzed the, I'm familiar with it being a cryptocurrency. I'm just not familiar with what exactly it does. Fundamentally, I have no clue what they do. I haven't even taken the chance to look at it, but maybe I want to. Actually, it's a the chart looked fairly decent, although it's showing a little bit of weakness right now. Dave Murphy says Link was one of the best performers of BTC last year in the bear market. Didn't drop a cent in value while everything else was tanking. Good to know, man. Good to know. Yeah, I'm mostly trading in Bitcoin, but most of the shit coins, or excuse me, most of the altcoins. Don't like to cuss on the video, guys. Apologize if I'm offending anybody, but yeah, most of the altcoins I trade the higher market cap ones, but the lower market cap I don't look at so much. But again, Link is coming up quite a bit, so I may start taking a better look at that. Sapien, Bromo Sapien, says, thanks, working. The videos are amazing, and so is your TA. Could you show us an example of paper trading and what details are beneficial to write down? Yeah, I will. Here, let me just quickly. The paper trading, if you ever want to bring it up, in fact, I've already got it up there. If you ever want to bring up paper trading, and I may make a video on this in the future, but basically you just go down here, you'll see something that says trading panel. You click on trading panel. Over to the left-hand side, you're going to see all these different exchanges, which you can actually link if you did trade on one of these exchanges. But for paper trading, you go all the way to the left, you press the paper trading, you'll see that this thing turns green, and then once this thing does turn green, you're going to come over here and you're going to be able to see, excuse me, you'll come over here, you'll press this little icon on the right hand side, and that'll bring up a little panel that says show buy and sell order, and that's basically going to bring up this little buy sell box right here, which you can put right here if you're trading. And then if you want to buy or sell, you basically your account gets funded with fake money. You'll get basically $100,000 in a fake account. Obviously, I wish it was real. I wish it was that easy, right? You'll see it down here under account summary, when you want to buy, you just press this little icon, press the buy. You'll see the market, limit, and stop orders come up, and you guys can play with it. You can start, you can actually put in there how much you want to buy, and you can execute that buy here. You can also put in your take profit or your stop loss ahead of time, and then hit execute, and it'll execute on the chart. And I may make a video on how to do that some days, but hopefully that gets you guys started. I'm in a little bit of a hurry here. Let's see. Christian says most of the people I follow on YouTube said that Bitcoin will go to 14K and have a correction again. What's your idea about it? I think if we do come up and test 14, well, if we test 14K, we're going to take out that $13,850 high. I think if we take out that high, I think it's going to go much higher. I think potentially finding some resistance somewhere around 14,700, 14,800. But my bias would be, even though we might find some resistance around that area, my bias would be, even if it does correct there, a continuation back to the upside, targeting about 16,200. Again, it would just depend. Cal Ron says again, hey bud, get yourself a high performance blockchain wallet, and I'll send you a tip. High performance is considered EOS killer. Yeah, I don't know much about that. And again, I don't like to talk about things that I don't know that much about. Certainly don't want to seem like I'm shilling anything. So yeah, maybe I'll take a look at that. Again, I don't, as far as when you say it's an EOS killer, that means that's a red flag for me. I hear that too often from so many things that are supposedly EOS killers, but I will take a look, and I appreciate you stopping by, Ron. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.